Hey, welcome back, Rankers. I was in Queensland last week, up at Brisbane, speaking at the Self-Storage Association of Australasia. Hope I got that right. Great bunch of people and learned a lot, actually. Saw a couple of really interesting presentations. Not about storage, just about business in general. But we got talking about a couple of things around Google Trends and how we use it and the strength of brand and checking your brand. And I thought this was a really interesting graphic for people who've been following along at home. Skinny Mixes is a blogger whose site that I worked on a couple of years ago. She's just done extraordinary things in the thermal cooker recipe area, right? And basically blown all the stats away, the numbers away, leading a class. But I thought, if you want to get an idea of someone's brand strength or your own brand strength and what you're trying to do, then I've just gone into Google Trends and I've put Skinny Mixes up against Nigella Lawson. Now, if you're a bit of a foodie, you'll probably know who Nigella Lawson is. And also George Columbaris, and he's from the show MasterChef and owns a bunch of restaurants in Melbourne. And you can see here, when we look at the data, we can see here that Skinny Mixes is more popular than George Columbaris as far as, or the brand is more requested than his, as is Skinny Mixes above Nigella Lawson, apart from this peak down here, which is from the TV show MasterChef when she appeared on that. So I use Google Trends all the time to see what's going on and to get an idea of what the zeitgeist, if you like, is talking about or is interested in. And so on last week, it was really interesting in Australia because it was another week ending in the letter K. So when that happens, we get a new Prime Minister. And I'll just show you this. But we were sitting here in the office and we thought, oh, let's have a look. And we looked at the two words, Turnbull and Dutton, over the last 7 days. And you can see here, we got this big spike when the first announcement was talked about the challenge to the Prime Ministership. And then when it happened again down here, you can see that the red line, which is one politician called Peter Dutton, that is way above the blue line, which is Malcolm Turnbull. And when that happens, usually the one that's in front, as far as got the higher volume of search, is the one that's going to win. But what happened then the following day, and that's what this is indicating, this was the first challenge. So there were two challenges, first challenge, and then they came back at the end of the week and did another one. And it's always good to get some sort of perspective when we're talking about politics, though. And of course, it is football final season in Australia at the moment, and we are way more interested in Australian rules football than we are politics, according to this data anyway. And that's really healthy, I think. I quite like that. And of course, this is interesting. This is a bit of a reality check of everything. So our green line is Google, and we can see here there's a lot of people Googling Google. Incidentally, it is the most Googled word in the world, and it's a brand. Do you think there might be a few more other brands in Google's database that they know about? And then we've got Dutton, Turnbull and Morrison, who is now our PM. And I'll show you some data on that in a second too, which is pretty funny. But you can see these lines here. Then we get the second challenge happening down here. And this was over the last 4 hours on the Thursday. And that's one of the things I love about trends is you can go down to that last 4 hours or that last hour. And then we can have a look down here and we can see that Scott Morrison, no one knew who he was. He was pretty much flatlining. And then there was talk after that challenge and it occurred. People started searching for his name before it was announced in the media that there was going to be, he was going to be put up as a challenger to the other politician. Don't worry, you don't have to know the names or what happened. It's just the data is interesting. And then all of a sudden people started saying, oh, who's this guy? But it started before it was announced. And then on Friday, I was sitting in the airport and watching what was going on, watching what was developing on the news. And then we had a look at this graph. And this was, again, last 4 hours, but this was on the Friday. And you can see here, the whole country's just gone, what? Who is this bloke, Scott Morrison? Because look at the volume of search. People had no idea who he was. Generally, I mean, in the majority of the public, because our search volume shows us that, right? We've got this line here. This is our control group. This is Google, people Googling Google, the most Googled word in the world. And you can see, we've got Dutton and Turnbull way under that, even though it was the last 4 hours on the Friday of the spill election. But then after that, after it's announced, his search volume goes through the roof. So that's how I use Google Trends. Now, these are all relative numbers, relative to one another. So if you want to start to get some, or put some hard numbers around this, you could do something like, look at search analytics and in Google Search Console, look for phrases that have actually got real numbers in there, and then use those as controls, if you like, when you are doing Google Trends, so you've got some idea of volume. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully we won't have a new PM by then. Thanks very much. Bye.